Good afternoon. It is 12:15. It is Wednesday. I am here, Deborah Porter with Mom's Mentoring Circle, and I just want to make sure stuff is working. Seems like we're on and all is good. If you can't hear me or if something seems weird, just let me know. But happy to be here today. Happy to be able to join together again on another Wednesday and share a little bit. Here at Mom's Mentoring Circle, we're here to support at-home moms with systems and strategies and life coaching to assist you and support you with getting not only your life back, your home back, your sanity back, getting those things in order so that you can then still go after the goals, dreams, and desires that you have for yourself while things at home are functioning and running smoothly. But today, I'm going to dive into that a little bit. I really want to talk about 3 frustrations that we can turn into motivation for change. I keep seeing, hello, Wendy, how are you? It's good to see you. I keep seeing these comments on Facebook and all over the place about there's like 10 weeks left to the decade. What are you going to do with it? What changes are you going to make? And the more I see it, the more it really got me thinking, it is the end of another decade. And what things do we want to bring into 2020? What things do we want to leave in 2019 and start fresh and new? So we're going to talk about turning 3 frustrations into motivation for change today. And I'm really speaking to my stay-at-home moms, but this really applies to people. There is always a way to take a frustration and allow it to motivate you for change. I'm going to talk about 3 different things today for stay-at-home moms: feeling unfulfilled and unaccomplished, feeling isolated and lonely, and feeling overwhelmed. Those are the 3 frustrations we're going to talk about today, but we're going to talk about them in a way that will motivate us to make a change. So when we're talking about feeling unfulfilled and unaccomplished, as a stay-at-home mom, you can, in a moment's notice, go from feeling like this is the best decision ever to feeling completely insecure and lonely, all within a moment's notice. Those emotions can run the gamut when you're a stay-at-home mom. But really, I want us to think about how do we take that frustration and shift it? Because here's the thing. Our gifts, our talents, our abilities, the things that we're great at, the things that we do well, the things that we do in our sleep that just come natural and easy for us. You don't have to surrender those at the crib of your child when they're born. You still have those talents. You still have those gifts and those abilities. And your community, your village, your local school or organizations, they need that talent. They need you and your gift to show up. And so as we're thinking about and experiencing those moments of feeling unfulfilled or feeling unaccomplished, really what I want us to try and think about, hey Tam, how are you? I want us to try and think about in those moments of feeling unfulfilled and unaccomplished, what am I good at? What do I do well? How do I take that and be a blessing to my community? How do I take that and use it in a way that it can not only help me because I'm offering it, but then be a blessing to somebody else? So I don't want us to feel like being a stay-at-home mom means that my gifts and talents and abilities now have to wait. They all just have to take a back seat to my kid. I don't believe that. I don't believe that because I think showing up as your whole real self in your home is a blessing to your family. And so if you're going to continue to kind of put these things to the side and continue to sacrifice all of who you are for being a mom, I don't think that that's what being a mom requires of us. I think we sometimes think that. It's kind of in the self-talk that we have going on, and sometimes even the words that come out of our mouth. But I want you to think about, as those moments come that you're feeling unfulfilled and unaccomplished, what am I good at? What can I do in my sleep? What are my natural talents and abilities? And connect with an organization that would be overjoyed, more than thrilled to have you there, sharing that gift, sharing that talent or that ability with them and with the people that they serve. We have a family member, I'm not going to name her because I didn't ask her for permission to say this, but her mom used to volunteer with Meals on Wheels. And she was elderly, but that was her way of giving back. And so this family member then also did that. And she was a mother of a couple of kids. but it was important to her. It was something that her mother modeled for her. And so it became something that became important to her and for her to do as well. And, doing that and setting up these opportunities to be a blessing to your community and other people in your village, your town, your county you live in, it will take setting some stuff up. Dad can watch the kids. And let me just remind you, dads don't babysit their own children, right? I get a little irritated when people are saying, well, I got to ask to see if my husband will babysit. These are his kids too. Does anybody ask you to babysit? They're your children. Right? So it takes some organizing and some setting up and some putting some stuff in ink on the calendar. We talked about that before, not in pencil or not hoping and thinking it'll be put on the calendar, but actually doing it. But as you begin to set those things in place, it allows you to then have that outlet and that outreach so that you're not sitting at home feeling like you're wasting or your talents are dwindling. But it's an opportunity for you to then use them to be a blessing to others. So that's ways of motivating using that frustration for motivation, for change, for feeling unfulfilled and unaccomplished. Another one that stay-at-home moms often feel and often battle is isolation and loneliness. I remember these moments well. I remember feeling like day after day, the only conversation I was having was with babies and toddlers. And it became my responsibility to get dressed, get up, and get out. That was my responsibility. It was my responsibility to gather. So I remember getting in the car some days. You got to remember, this was before Google. This was before GPS. I feel so old saying that, but gosh, it's really true. So I would pack the kids up in the car. Literally, there were days I didn't even know where we were going. And they would ask, Mommy, where are we going? Don't know. Mommy, we there yet? Mommy, how will you know when they're there if we don't know where we're going? We'll know. We'll figure it out. I'd drive if I saw other kids and moms in a park, we'd get out. I'd drive to the nearest bookstore, library, whatever I could find. I remember going to a mall, finding a bookstore with a great kid selection of books. This was in Columbia Mall. Tammy, you remember Columbia Mall? I know that bookstore is long gone. But I remember going to that bookstore and asking that bookshop owner if she would please start a story time for kids because it was the mall close to my house. I knew how to get there. We had recently moved to this particular part of town. And she did. And for a while, it was just me and my kids. And then eventually other kids started coming. And it became a way for us to not only get up, get dressed, and get out the house, but to meet some other people, meet some other children, talk with some other moms. The other thing that really is at our disposal now is the opportunity to get on Meetup. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Meetup. Meetup.com is awesome. You can literally go on there and look for any type of Meetup group you want, a book club, a girls' night out, a mom's group that doesn't have kids invited because kids are at school, or a mom's group that does have kids that attend. But the feeling of loneliness and isolation is yours to break. And we often find ourselves saying it, oh my gosh, I'm so lonely, I feel so isolated. We're saying this out of our mouth over and over again, as opposed to taking that emotion and that feeling and allowing it to motivate us to change, to do something different. Let's face it, folks are not gonna come knocking on your door saying, hey, I'll be your friend. You have to put yourself out there. It might be uncomfortable at first. It might feel a little awkward at first, but the opportunity to get up, get dressed, and get out, even if it's just walking the neighborhood, even if it's going to your local bakery shop or your local bookstore, there's always an opportunity to interact with people outside of your own home, but you got to get outside of your own home to do it. There's another way that was very important for me, again, without the Google, were parent magazines, mom magazines, all of those resources that are available in your community that are really inviting you. I mean, these are open invitations to come to these events. Most, if not all, are free or very low cost. But the feeling of loneliness and isolation can begin to get compounded on each other. And then it makes it even more difficult to get out. So we've already talked about feeling unfulfilled and unaccomplished and how to take your natural talents, gifts, and abilities and then use them to be a blessing in your community, possibly to get some work. There are so many different ways to work from home, even now, if that's your desire. We've also now talked about feeling isolated and lonely. And the last point I really want to make is the feeling of being overwhelmed. What am I even supposed to be doing as a stay-at-home mom? I remember very, very early in those years for me, I just did not even understand or know what I was supposed to be doing. I was had my college degree. I was working as a criminal investigator. I had worked as a probation and parole officer. And so now being at home with these wonderful kids, these beautiful little faces, I just was out of sorts. It took me a minute to even realize and figure out, what am I supposed to be doing? And so what I decided to do, and I'm telling you, this changed the game for me. This changed the game for me being a stay-at-home mom. I don't know if I would have lasted if I did not have this epiphany. But I had to begin to realize what worked for me in my employment, in my work setting. Why was I successful there? What were the things that I did there, and how much of that can I now take and use in my home? And I remembered and realized that for me, what has worked for me always through college, through those, employment, well, I've always had a system. I've always had a system that I use. I've always had some type of structure in my day, in my schedule, knowing what's coming next, knowing what I'm going to be doing, knowing what's ahead, knowing, checklists so I can check stuff off. So what I did at that point was I instituted systems. At work, I took the training. I learned what needed to be done. I came up with a system to make it work for me, and it did. I did the same thing at home, read some books, met with some other moms, got advice from older moms that had already been at home, and created a system for myself. And so what that allowed me to do was I woke up each day with purpose and reason and a thing. I knew that Mondays between 9 and 12 what I was doing. I knew Thursdays between 10 and 12 I was at playgroup. I knew Fridays between 11 and 1 we were at story time. I knew Wednesday, I knew each day that there was a schedule and there was an event and there was something going on. I knew we were working on schoolwork on certain hours on certain days and how much and which and whether it was letters or numbers, but setting up some type of routine, some type of schedule made it all doable. It helped me, but it helped the kids tremendously because they began to understand and know what the routine and the schedule was. It allowed me to make a little chart with numbers and letters so they knew which day we were doing what. The chart itself became a lesson for them to begin to learn the days of the week. And so what I'm getting at is sometimes we're overwhelmed because of just a lack of structure or understanding of what's going on. So I want to encourage you though, because this was not a struggle that I had, these phones, I'm on it right now. I want to encourage you in moments of feeling overwhelmed that you don't retreat into your phone and you don't retreat to the different apps because you can lose hours in a day simply by fiddling with this thing. I've been there. If anybody's going to be honest, I think we've all been there. But in moments of feeling overwhelmed, lonely, isolated, retreating into your phone will only magnify that feeling. Because instead of living your own life and putting things in place for yourself, you're vicariously watching and living through and watching other people's lives take place. So Tammy says, good for moms, but kids crave consistency. Absolutely. They crave the consistency and they respond positively to it. Maybe not at first, but I remember getting to the point where instead of my kids waking up saying, Mommy, what are we doing today? Waking up and saying, Mommy, it's Tuesday. We have letters today, right? Or Mommy, it's Friday. So we have story time today, right? So it helped everybody. It just brought more structure to the home. It was less feeling of overwhelm at that point for all of us. And the other thing that I will say that I was able to do, and Tammy, you were a part of this, was I found my village. I found my tribe, my squad, whatever you call it now. I'm kind of old school, so I probably still say village. But find your people. They're not just going to come knocking at your door. You got to get out of your house. Find your people. And yes, there are people that are like-minded, but also people that challenge you, people that hold you accountable, people that are checking in on you about goals that you've set and how are you hitting them and how's it going? And, let me just stop here though. Have you set those goals? Do you know where you want to be? Do you know what you want to accomplish in your home? What structure or systems you want in place over the next 30 days, 60 days, going into January. We're always talking about, starting these new fad things in the new year. I really want to talk more specifically about not something that's a fad, but something that's going to help bring organization and structure to your life, to your home, to your kids' schedule, something that's going to help bring some type of not just consistency, but clarity for you and for your family in your home. So if you've not set those goals, if you don't have that accountability group, if you are still searching for that, please get on my calendar. Please get on my calendar and let's talk about how that would look for your family and for your home. Let's talk about your feeling of being unfulfilled or unaccomplished. Or if that's not your issue, maybe it's the feeling of isolation and loneliness. I don't know a mom that at some point has not felt the actual burden of feeling overwhelmed. Let's talk about it. There's no reason why we have to suffer through that by ourselves in this day and age. There are more ways to connect than ever. I may have mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if I did, but there's something called meetup.com, a great way to connect with other moms, a great way to connect with other women, a great way to connect with people that have similar interests, book clubs, shopping clubs, coffee outings, girls' night out, get-togethers with the kids, without the kids, couples. If you are involved in your local church, if there isn't an organization like that, I'm sure they'd be open to you starting something. So let's really think about and be honest about where are we these last 10 weeks or so to the decade, as everyone is saying. Where are we? Where are you? How can I support you so that when 2020 starts, and we don't even have to wait till 2020, when November starts, you've got some systems in place and some things that are going to help bring clarity to your home, cause you to be less exhausted, more energized, less fractured in all that we have to do, and really just more whole and content in where you are and in the choices that you've made to be a stay-at-home mom. It's a powerful decision to make, to choose to be a stay-at-home mom. And feelings like this can begin to chip away at that and make it feel less powerful and less significant when it is probably one of the most significant things I've ever done as an individual. So I'm going to leave the link for my calendar and how to get on it and how to pick a day that works for both of us. But I'm interested in supporting you to get you to the place where you feel like this has been a powerful move and decision and you don't feel like you've lost out by choosing to be a stay-at-home mom. So I appreciate you joining in. Everybody have a great day. I'll probably pop back in later this week. I got something else on my mind that I want to talk about, but I'm going to end this one here and I'll check back in later this week. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Check the link and get on the calendar. Okay. Bye-bye.